Okay. This is a special request video for getting started. This is for people that this is not for people that already know how to use Studio One. Let me move this pop filter. This is already for people that may be coming from a different DAW like Reaper or and they're this is a special request. They want to know how the workflow is in Studio One. So I'm going to so when you open up Studio One, this is the first screen that you'll see. You'll get this is where all your songs, any recent songs that you worked on, projects, songs or anything like that. So okay, so these are recent songs that I did. Wow. So these are all. So this is where any songs that I worked on. So, but I'm gonna go to a blank one. I said wow because I forgot some of these songs I did a while back. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to them. But anyhow, this is your. So if you're new, this is where you do your setup. So I have the Antelope Orion as my audio interface, and that's connected to the console. So it's connected to my console here. So this is where you do your setup, and then you would hit this configure. This is where you're going to configure everything, like your general, like whatever case. Like you can tell Studio whenever it opens, it can go to the last song you were working on, or you can tell like if it does nothing, comes to the main startup page. The language that you're in, if you're a different language or whatever, you can change that. This is where you can set all your keyboard shortcuts and stuff like that. Location is where you would set up all your plugins, your instrument libraries and stuff like that. Plugins, you got like any DAW, you have to tell the DAW where are your plugins at. So all my plugins are all in these locations. So that's where they are. So I had to literally go in there and tell them. So when it scans all these folders and library, like any DAW. Your audio setup. This is where you tell it what kind of interface you got. I can come down here, click on this list, and these are the different types of interfaces that are by default. Or if you already got drivers installed, like I can switch to if I have one of these other ones. But if you don't have any interface, it automatically defaults to Windows Audio. But I already have Orion. Then you can tell, you can change your latency and output latency and all that. This is where you would change all that. And then this is where you would set up all your MIDI controllers. Like I got a fader port right here. And I also have a MIDI controller, my M-Audio controller right here. So I told it you got to set it up. So this is where you would set it up. Once you got all that done, you can go to new song or new project. And so I'm going to go to new song. When you click it, it gives you a blank template. So like this interfaces. But I'm not worried about that right now. So I don't want, these are blank templates, but I'm gonna set up my own, how I want to set it up myself. So I'm gonna go to an empty one and hit OK. And of course, this is where you set your sample rate and all this other stuff, like you're gonna do 48 or whatever. So I'm gonna hit OK. So now this is it's a blank slate. So on the right, the left is where you're going to input all your tracks. Like you hit the plus, you can hit how many audio tracks you want. If you want to do instrument tracks, you can tell it how many instrument tracks. You can hit that. Let's say I want to do instrument tracks, right? Let's say I want to do 8 instrument tracks. How many instrument tracks do I want to put in? 8. Okay. So I'm going to put in 8 instrument tracks. So it set up 8 blank instrument tracks. So now you're good to go. I can hit this plus sign again or hit the T change it from instrument to audio. So this is where I can set how many audio tracks. Let's say I want to do audio track, but let's say I want to do 16. You can type it in, or you can scroll the mouse. So I'm just gonna scroll the mouse. I got 16. So you can auto color it, or you can change the color yourself. The auto color, let's say blue, as an example. You can change the color of those tracks like you want. You want it to be mono tracks, or do you want it to be stereo tracks? You can do all that here. Audio, I always do stereo tracks. And this is going to tell you where your input source is going to be. So it's going to be left and right input coming from my audio interface. The output's going to route to the main output of my audio interface. That's by default. And then I hit OK. I'll change that later. Okay. Now, I'm good to go. Now all my tracks are here on the left. So all my tracks are here. So okay, let me get back over here. Okay. So all my tracks are here. All my audio tracks. All my instrument tracks. The first 8 are my instrument tracks. And how you'll know instrument tracks, what I probably should have done is I probably should have, well, you can always move that. Let me I'm gonna delete that. Move track. And I'm gonna make all the instrument tracks. Let me come down here and add in one more instrument track. Add an instrument track. Okay. So, but anyhow, or better yet, let me. I don't like the way that's, or because you can see the track number 24, so I'm just gonna delete that. Okay. But anyhow, so the instrument track icons always look like a keyboard. Audio tracks always look like a little wave signal. So that's how you can tell. So this is where you're gonna do, when you start recording it, everything's gonna start appearing here for your files and stuff like that. So on the instrument track, all your stuff is over here. All your instruments, whatever instruments you got on your hard drive are going to be here. That Studio One sees, all your effects, and you can even do loops. So we'll start with a loop. Let's start with a loop. I got a house here. Let's go house loop. You know, in case you don't, if you want to use one of these loops, you can. A full house. You can audition these loops too. Let's see here. Let's listen to this. Double click on it. Right? So let's say I want to use that. All I got to do, I'm going to use that because loops are audios. So you got to make sure it's on the audio, not an instrument. I can take that. Okay. I can stop the auditioner because it's on automatic loop. I can drag this over here, put it there. Now I got that. Now I'm ready to go. So now I'm gonna turn this down. Okay. Okay, let me go to F3. Okay, so now rewind that to the beginning, and let's say I want to use that, so I can go ahead and hit the D key and duplicate that. So I'm going to duplicate it all, as many measures or bars that you want to duplicate it. So that tells me with that tempo 120 beats. So if I come to the end, set my mark at the end, at the bottom the song is about 3 minutes and 39 seconds because it's 120 minutes. So that would be 129 minute, so we go back to the beginning. So now I can use that. So I can go back to the beginning. So I already got a loop going. So I already got some drums going already. It's that easy. So I'm going to use that. I'll use that as an example. So now I can come over here. Let's say I want to use a virtual instrument next. So all I got to do is come to my instruments over here, grab an instrument. So I'm going to use, let's say I'll use my Triton instrument, the Triton. So I'll grab it, drag it to my instrument. It's going to load that. It's going to load that instrument up, and I don't need my mixer window yet, so I can go ahead and let me F3. So I'm an F3 to get rid of my mixer. I don't need it yet. I'll come back to the mixer. I'm ready to go. I got my instrument going on. Let me grab bass sound. Let's say I want to use this nasty bass, right? So okay, so let me F3, make sure that ain't too loud. It's on track 17. So I got the sound that I want. Okay, so I got that sound going. All right, so now I'm ready to record something, right? So all I got to do now is just start recording. Now, at the bottom here, this is where all your transport controls and stuff like that are. You got your stop, rewind, and everything else. This is your bar count. This is telling how much CPU usage you're using. This is where you set your pre-count. So if you want pre-count, you just hit that, and it'll do a pre-count before you starts recording. And you want the metronome to keep going at the same time to hear the little click, that kind of thing. You just turn the metronome on. You can set your metronome by hitting the tool icon here. I got a 2-bar count. You could tell it if you want it to be a click or you want it to be a beep or a clave or whatever. You could change that. In case you don't want that little click. Let's say you want something else. It'll give you a pre-count. So because I already got a loop sample going, I don't need the metronome going, so I don't have it highlighted. But I do want the pre-roll and so forth. All your tools to do all your editing is up here at the top. So if you want to cut, slice, whatever you want to do to it, up here. A lot of times you put the mouse over, it tells you what it does, like the quantize, and if you want to strip it or whatever, you want to auto bend it or whatever, let's say you want to listen to it, or you can cut, erase, split it, you can so forth, slide it, and so it's really that easy. So let's say I come over here and hit the rewind, which is the period button on the number pad that takes it back to the beginning. But because I have my controls here on my controller, I can hit the record button as well, and I can record a little bass line. Right, so right? So it's there. Hit the rewind button. If I want to quantize that, all I gotta do is hit the Q, quantize it. So I got tracks there, is ready to go. Let me. Okay, so we got that sound going. Let's say I want to use that for my bass line as an example. Let's say I'm going to come over here, add one of the, let me grab another one. Let's say another instrument. It's really that easy. Let's say I want to use presence. It's as an example. I can come over here, grab presence, bring it up. Now presence is there. I can come over here and let's say organ, right? Let's see. So load that up. Okay. So, and then let me bring the volume down on that a little bit. Right. Right, so let me go back to the beginning. Right. So let's record an organ part right quick, right? Take it back to the beginning. On that little clap, I'm gonna go back to the little click. There we go. So go back to the beginning, hit. Right? Just that easy, right? Come over here, hit Q, quantize it. So go back to the beginning. I'm already up and running. Let's say I want to grab another instrument. Let's say I come over here and I'll grab like my Triton Streaming example. Let me grab that one. Put it there. Let's say let's say y'all probably use some strings or something from this one, or some horn stabs. So I'm gonna take the yeah, we'll just use some horn stabs. Go back to the beginning as soon as it's okay. So we're gonna add a little string. So I'm gonna go to string patch, and let's do let's find some it's a producer strings. Yeah, we'll use that. So I'll bring the volume down again on that. Right, so I'll just use that. So anything that you want to record. It's that easy. Just up and running, that easy. So let's add one more instrument. Let's do the try and the stream again. I'll put it here, and I'm going to add some brass parts. So, and all right, so we're gonna add to my brass. Where's my brass? There it is, brass. So now I'm gonna come down to like let's see. Yeah, we use that attack brass. So or let's see. Let me bring that back up right quick. Let me bring okay. Yep. Okay, it's acting a little slow. Oh, I can. Yeah. Well, let me. You know what? I'm going to use something from. I'm gonna go to. I forgot about these other ones. Like expand. So I'm going to trade that out and put expand there instead. Replace, yes. I'm going to replace that. I'm going to replace that with expand. Yeah. So and we're going to go to, I want to go to, let me see, synth brass. This thing got so many polysynths. We'll do something like polysynth, and we'll do like something like this. So expand. Let's see. Yeah, it's more, a little bit more modern sound, but let's see. Something like that, right? That's kind of cool. You know, that's something kind of cool. So, go back. Right, that's kind of cool. Go back, play it. All right, so let me cue quantified. Okay. All right, so we got some basic tracks. So now what you would do after you got your audio, like my drum loop here, if you want to use that, because you can use your own drums or whatever, or your own loop samples or whatever you want to use, put in there. You can use whatever you want. And I can come over here and use these other audio tracks right here to record vocals if I wanted to. If I was to hook up the microphone, run it through a preamp or run it through the interface and hook up my vocals and start recording my vocal tracks. That's what you would do. So it's that simple. And so you just got to tell it where, like anything, if let's say I was going to record vocals on track 10. You just got to go to the input and tell it where it's going to come from, since it's coming from automatic default of 1 or 2. But now, because Orion has 24 inputs, 24 outputs right now, that's how I got it defaulted for 24 inputs. I need to add my other outputs and inputs. Okay, and I'm gonna go to outputs and do the same thing. Add all my. So now what this does, by me doing this, I'm gonna hit apply and okay. So now all my outputs are set up. So now what I can do is, let's say I want these instruments, like those instruments. Let's say I don't want them going to the master output. I can change the main output to this to any of the channels on the console. As an example, let's say that impact. I want to go to 3. I want this to go to 4. I want this to go to 5. Or let me go 4. Let me get out of there. Get out of there. 5. And I want this to go to 6. All right. So now I can bring these levels back up. And now it's automatically coming, instead of coming out of my master out, these channels are down. So all you're going to just hear let me go back to the beginning. Or you should just hear just the loop sample. Right? So now you're not going to hear anything until I bring the channels up on the console. That's how I would mix through the console. I can set my output, so instead of just coming out the master output, which is default to channels 1 and 2 on the console, I can bring it to the other channels. That allows me to use outboard gear and things like that, right? So what that will do is I can bring this up. So I'm gonna bring strings. Right? So let me go back to the beginning. So what that, but that's kind of one way you can get started. Or let's say you don't have a console where you can route that out. So I can put these back to main, right? I'm gonna put these back to main, and I'm gonna change these all the way back to main. So I'm gonna have to bring my levels back down so I'm not blowing speakers up, right? So go back to the beginning. And let's say I want to set, because you can also do this too. Let's say you want to come over here and I'll just right click and add in an effects channel. So I got an effects channel going. I can then set up a couple of effects channels. So let me right click again, add another effects channel. I got 2 effects channels going now. So, so now what I can do is I can send all of these. Let's say I want to, on effects 1, let's say I want to add a reverb unit. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to find me a reverb. So let me find me a reverb. Okay, so we'll use this reverb. I'll put it here. All right. As soon as that loads up, okay. So I'm gonna set it to Hall. You can these are all different, like like huge plate, vocal plate. These are some of the defaults. Let's say I want to do a big large, like a drum hall. So I'm gonna set that there. Okay. So now I'm going to send, let's say I'm gonna send that loop sample I got going here. I'm going to send that to that. So I got it going to that. So now that's going to a hall. My main, but let me adjust that. So right, so let's say I want to send these other ones to that same hall. You do that too. Effects 1. I'm going to do the same thing. I want to go to effects 2, effects 3, effects 4. So let me bring this up a little bit so you can, okay. So I can adjust how much I want to send to that. So I'm going to adjust all these, so that's your send level. The same what you would do on a console. Now, a lot of times you want to pan that, like, you might want to pan some of these to the, to get them, to give it some space. So I'm gonna go back to the Benny. So that's how easy it is to, that's how easy it is. So let's say I want to come over here and add one more loop sample. So I'm gonna come to another audio track, add another house sample. Let me get an effect. Like, let me audition. Let's see. So I want to, let me see. That's kind of cool. So what I'll, okay, so what I'll do is turn that off, stop, grab that, and then I can add that I'll grab that little every, maybe start at every bar or every ninth or so. I'll add that. Okay, so that's on 2, so I'm gonna come over here on 10, so I'm gonna bring the volume down so it's not blowing. Okay. And you can add those, according to how you want to. it's a lot of cool things that you can do in Studio One. Let's say, let's see. And I can change, let's say I want to add that in there too. So check it out. So I'm gonna add that in, right? Well, let me go back. Let me grab this and slide it. I'm gonna slide it to the beginning, right? Let's see. And then I hit the D key, duplicate it a couple times, right? And then let's say I add that in, right? Bring that down a little bit. So that first baseline that I did on this one, what I can do is I can take that out, right? Actually, let me undo that. Undo, delete. Okay. Let's see, go back to the beginning. So I can come over here to the 8th bar, or here we go. Split that by double clicking it like that. Split it, delete or undelete. Let me go right here. Undo, delete. I want to delete. There we go. That's what I want to delete. And so I got the that first baseline deleted. So I can come back to the beginning and just see what interesting things you can do in here. So I'll play the beginning. And I know it doesn't match, but I'm just showing the things that you can do. It's just, the list goes on and on and on, right? This is where, you can insert all your, whatever the case you want to insert, effects, loops, instruments. This is, like I said, this is where all your effects and plugins for if you want to do EQing. Let's say I want to on that impact, right? Which is, let me see, go back to the beginning. So that's kind of cool, right? So now on this impact, let's say I want to EQ it a little bit. So I'm going to drag in my EQ, and this is where you can, let's say I want to do 88 gain, Okay. Right. So, and another thing, on your mixer, this is where you'll start, like, let's say, one of the key things that makes the mix gel a lot better is a master bus compressor. So I'm going to add in one that I know always works. And that's going to be the SSL. Here we go. Insert this on my master bus. Right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use. Let me remove that. Native. There we go. The SSL native bus compressor. I'm going to use the SSL one and not the Waze one. So this is the SSL bus compressor, and the TAC 31 release on auto. We're gonna do 4 to 1. Let's see, compressor in. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Hold on. Threshold. We want to kick in the makeup gain. Let's see. Ooh. Okay. So going back to the beginning. Okay, so you get the idea. Turn these effects down a little bit. One more time from the beginning. I ain't putting nothing on there, so I ain't worry about that one. So all right, so I'm pretty much done, but that's how you can get started in Studio One. This is eating up my okay. So that's how you can get started in Studio One. Now, a lot of times when I'm up here, I don't really do a lot of in the box mixing on the mixer there. I usually come through the console, but that's a different video. So that's how I would normally come out of the console, and I would set all my channels to the console, and I would start using outboard gear and my effect unit, my rack of effect units and stuff like that. That's what I would do. And this song would sound super dynamic coming through the console. Not saying that you can't do it through this mixer, but it has a lot more impact coming through the console and using that. You just got to trust me on that. So I have to do a video on that to let you hear. But that's how you. This is. But you can have fun with a lot of these, especially with the amount of plugins I got. I mean, I can do everything in the box, which can be fun too, because I got a lot of plugins. But it, anyhow, so this once again, this is how you can get started in the Studio One. Like I said, you come over and you can set your instruments, set your, you want to use loose samples or whatever. If you want to add in your audio, like you come here, like I can add in and start recording vocals and everything else. And once you're done, you can go, start doing everything in your mixing and you're ready to go. But that's how easy it is in Studio One. And then once you're done mixing, you come to song mode. You can export as stems, or you can as a complete mix down. This is also where you can import files. If let's say you want to bring some samples in, let's say I'll do something. I'll import a file right quick. So I'm gonna come to 13 as an example, and I'm gonna import something from my desktop, right? And let's say I want to use something like, or I'll just do this hit groove. So now hit groove, right? So now I can take this, I can use bits and pieces of it, right? And then let's see, I can cut that, get rid of that, and then I can, let's see, slide this wherever I want, go back to the beginning. So I slide it, it's got this. So oh, there it is. Okay, let me copy that. And then I'm going to come to the beginning, all the way to the beginning, and then I'm going to paste it in, right? Paste, there. So now I can come over back to this other part, cut that. No, undo. No, let's see. Now I come over here, I can get rid of this because I put it at the beginning. So now I can come over here and I can chop this up like I want. Let's say I want to just use this, And I can use this little, let's say I just want to use this little snare, right? So now I can take this little here, let's see. So, and I can probably duplicate that. Let me see. I can probably duplicate that a lot, right? Stuff like that. You just interesting stuff, and you can do all kinds of interesting stuff. So, go. Okay. So, let me come back to that hit groove, turn that down some. So let's say, or whatever, or I can, every other, I can delete every other one or come over here, every other one, something like that, every other one. And I can, whatever you want to do, come back. So you can do some interesting stuff. You can do some seriously interesting stuff in Studio One and be really, really creative. It's a powerful DAW. So I'm going to leave it at that. And that's, if you're interested in Studio One and you're coming from a DAW, it's endless what you can do in this DAW. How you can create it. But that's a lot of DAWs can do this. I'm just showing you what, I'm not even scratching the surface of all the tools of what you can do in Studio One. But so there you go. Other than that, thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.